Yeah.
Sure. Hello, Thomas. Any injury updates first of all? Henrik Dalsgaard, Rico Henry, De Silva maybe?
No, none of them are available for the squad. Winston Reid is available again, so that's good.
Now, with the top two having been decided over the weekend, does that hopefully relieve some pressure on you to some extent, because you know now that you're definitely going to be in the playoffs and you can perhaps focus on that?
I would have preferred that we had the automatic to play for right to the end of the season. We don't have, but it doesn't change our focus. We want to win tomorrow. We want to keep the momentum of the unbeaten run, and we like to build going forward. We have changed system. Only played that for 4 games. I think we had almost complete performance against Bournemouth in many ways, but there is still tactical issues I like to adjust. I think the first 10 minutes there were some few bits we need to adjust. So there's plenty of things to work on, but most importantly I want to win, and I want to keep momentum.
Are you concerned who you face in the playoffs? Because it's strange in that you could actually be playing any one of those teams between 3rd and 6th because it's so tight in there.
Yeah, the very short answer is no. We have one aim, that is to get promoted, and no matter if we want that, we need to be able to beat all 3 of them, and all 3 of them will be very difficult, tough challenges.
So with that in mind, would you be prepared or ready to rest players to keep them fresh for the playoffs to give you a better chance, or would you prefer to go all out to finish 3rd and get that second leg at home?
I will do everything we can to finish 3rd and the highest position as possible, because I think it means a lot. Also, of course, it's natural if there's a player that could be rested, then maybe it's the game tomorrow, maybe it's not, because after that it's Saturday, so there's no problem at all. So I'm going strong and we want to win.
You said a few moments ago that you would have preferred to get automatic promotion. Obviously, when you look back on the season now, does any part of you regret not bringing in players in January and spending, because it's been a very demanding season with lots of games, and maybe that might have given you the edge in the last couple of months of the season?
No, I think that's a club decision, and the good thing with a club decision in this club is that we take the decision together. So we were open for a potential adding a player, but that was not it didn't drop for us. So it needs to be value for money, and we are not just how can you say, just spending for increasing our chances. We simply don't believe in that model, and I think the way we've done it the last many years, but especially the last 2 years, being able to competing for top 2 throughout the season, this season, and very much to the end of last season, shows we do the right thing.
Just finally, for me, can I ask you about the social media boycott that's being planned for this weekend? How important is it that players and you as managers and coaches as well support it?
I think it's very important we support it. I'm very pleased that Brentford has been one of the front runners, that we have been really pushing for this to be a theme across football. I think football have a big responsibility to go in front and lead the way, because the football players and clubs have so many followers. So I think it's extremely important that we send a message to the social media companies that we say no to abuse, and they need to change their policy about it and need to do it much better. And for only personal, it'd be very easy because I'm not on social media.
Thanks very much indeed. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hi Thomas, how are you?
I'm good, Ian. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, my friend. Bit disappointed to be in the playoffs?
we went into this season, I think again, honestly, I think we have performed. And then, you know, sometimes you get the results from the performances you put in. Other times you don't get as much results, even that you perform well, because it's football. I think what this club have done, what this team have done, you know, looking at the back end at last season compared to now, with mentioned it before, but you know, the shortest holiday between season of all the teams, sold two best players, probably two best defensive players in the league, and handling the disappointment, been able to go again with an incredible mentality. I think we've done a top job. I honestly think that there's only two things who didn't drop our way is the margins and some injuries. If you then look at budgets and all that, we competed until the end more or less for top two, and we are in the playoffs and we have everything to play for. We are full of confidence, we're going into it. You know, in football you need to understand you can perform everything you can, and you actually maybe overperform. Even if you overperform, you maybe don't get the results because it's not aligned always, because there's so many margins. So I think we've done a lot of things right. I will evaluate this season in detail when the season is over, not before. But that's my feeling and analyzing and understanding everything that's happened behind the games and the numbers from the last 43 games. So now we know where we are and we're ready to attack.
I'm not belittling any of your players here, but I think a key player for you is Josh Da Silva, who's been missing recently. Is he going to be back for the playoffs?
No.
And how big is that?
No, he's not going to be back.
Right, so how much are you going to miss him?
I don't know, because he's not there. You know, I would rather want to speak about the players we have. We all know that he's one of the best defensive players in the league. We'll find a way.
I spoke to Christian Norgard last week, and I said that the playoffs in it last year can work two ways for you. One, you've got that experience and that hunger to make sure that what happened last year doesn't happen again, or there could be the fear that what happens again. What side of it are you on?
Definitely the first one. I think that when we go into those playoffs games, that we will be very ready for them, and I think even if you look at the playoffs games last year, look at the two Swansea games, I clearly remember them, especially the first one where we lost 2 on a bounce, and had that big disappointment, and it was a turnaround, you know, 3 days turnaround. Then we need to perform, and we performed away to Swansea. We lost 1-0 because we had a wrong red card. Before that we were the best side on the pitch. Then we lost 1-0, and the second game there was no doubt that we should go in that final. So I think that showed the mentality. And then a final is a final. You guys, I'm the least experienced here. You must have seen, I don't know how many championship finals. It is the margins on the day. It's nothing about, yes, there can be nerves, of course, you should have that. For me, the only one where we were, you know, nervy was the Stoke game. The rest was games, highly mental magnitude games with everything on it, but the players were ready for it. So then things can change in the game, and 1-0 up, 2-0 up, 1-0 down, whatever, that can change a little bit of mentality, but that's the same for all players. But we have an experience, so in the tough moments, hopefully they have a little bit extra in their back. Is that the same, will be enough? We don't know. We will see.
Your team selection for the Rotherham game, again, you look at it in two ways. One, you rest some players because you don't want anyone else to get injured. Or you play your strongest team because you now want to capitalise on Bournemouth and build momentum going into the playoffs. Is that a dilemma for you?
I would say it's, of course, how can I say, I want to put the strongest possible team out there tomorrow, and I'm going to put a very strong team out there. One thing for sure, I need to change one position because Pontus is out. But I want to keep the momentum. Honestly, I want to keep the momentum what we are building on. It's all about that.
And the last one, Rotherham obviously are fighting for their lives, trying to stay in the division. They're going to use the experience of what happened last year with you and Barnsley on the final day, because I've been speaking to their manager this morning. In terms of you, obviously you're expecting them to come at you. But the performance of Bournemouth, would you say that's one of your best of the season?
If I answer the first one first, with Rotherham, I definitely expect them to come at us and be very energetic and press us, not more or less all the pitch, but a lot. Be very aggressive on the set pieces and every second balls and make a scrappy game, which they're extremely good at, and I think they've done a top job this season. And I think that the size of the club of Rotherham, and they are close to make sure that Sheffield Wednesday or Derby maybe get relegated is an unbelievable performance. So I think they've done a top job. Hopefully we have enough to win the game tomorrow, and I think it's one of the things we've done very well this season against teams that are very physical. And the second ball game, I think we handled that very well. So we'll be ready for it, but we know what we are facing, and it's going to be tough. I think Bournemouth performance, I think it was definitely one of them, and also because first half I think we dominated in the 11 and created chances and were very aggressive and played good spells of football against another team that wanted to dominate on the ball. And second half I think was very, very impressive. We played 10 against 11, gave 0 chances away, bang on, still there to be a little bit offensive in our 4-3-2 organisation, and the players coming on off the bench, the game changers or the finishers were bang on. So it just shows, it makes me so proud, because you don't create that culture overnight. It's a long many years of work that how can I say, flourished in one game, and we know one game is not enough, but it hopefully tells you a lot about where we are as a club.
Brilliant. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you, and thank you. Look forward to see you.
Hi Thomas.
Hi Phil.
At this stage last season, you had the same number of points. You'd lost more games. And obviously we're closing in on second. It didn't happen last season. That consistency between last season and this season, is that something that, despite the changes, despite the injuries, despite the challenges of this year, has pleased you?
Yeah, I think in football, if you can create that consistency, which is extremely difficult, and that you do that with keeping the staff, the key staff members, the leadership, the board, So of course you always need a little bit of changes once in a while, but in general keeping the main persons, you're keeping the main players, or a lot of the same players. You still need sometimes a little freshness to the squad, but you keep that. You've been building on the culture and the style of play over years. So I think it's how can you say, a clear picture of what we are doing, and that our model are working, and all the hard work every single day pay off in a way. Then we all know the ultimate goal. We'll always discuss that, but that's where you need those small margins. How can you turn them in? Sometimes you are more fortunate, sometimes you're not. I think less losses this year, as you said. I think in last year, I can't remember how many games we lost, but I just know we lost 9 games 1-0, which is incredible. So now we definitely turn some of those into draws. Now we need to learn turn some of the draws into wins. But I think it's part of football, because I think we talked about it many times, but the last 6 games, 4 of them we should have won. We did what needed in terms of creating the opportunities, but on the day we couldn't take them for whatever reason. So we showed a lot of consistency, and that makes me proud. You need to look at that, the performance perspective, because the result, the black and white result. If you say you get promoted, yes, you just say yes, perfect, everything was perfect, but no, it's never is. And if you don't get preferred, everything, no, it never is. So we need to look behind and then try to be sharp on that analysis.
The game up at Rotherham earlier this season typified a need to get wins in different ways. I mean, you've won games such as Preston where you dominated and scored lots of goals. The game at Rotherham was a much more of a battle, much more of a tough away evening, you know, on a cold night. It showed a lot of character from your team. Yeah,
I agree. I think that was one of those wins where you've seen, okay, you know, we've been developing the team, the club, all of us together, because a lot of times I've seen a Brentford team lose a game like that. Now we look much more solid, and we're ready to compete in these battles, but also try to bring the ball down to the floor and play. But we need to be able to do both. So that's why I'm confident that we are ready to do that tomorrow. We know it'll be another battle that we need to be ready for.
We talk about players throughout the whole season, we've mentioned some. Can I just ask about Sergi Canos? At this stage of last season, I know it was later on in the year because of the hiatus, he was just coming back, just starting to come back from another injury, an awful injury layoff. And this year, obviously, he's played a lot more football. You used him on Saturday, you put him into that berth on the left. Does he typify some of the spirit that you need in an 11, in a squad on match day, or just within a group of players, the way that he goes about? You know, he wears everything on his sleeve, he plays like he's wearing it on his sleeve.
You know, I think Sergi is a player that deserves a lot of praise for what he's achieved for this club. Recently he just passed the 200th game. That's a lot for one club in any division, but especially here. But also it's a long time ago in Brentford we had a player that hit that marker. What I love with Brentford is, with Sergi, is that he played with you know, massive passion. As you said, you can just see it means the world for him. And I love that when he's on it, he plays with such a big passion, and give everything for the team, and it means everything for him. And he can drive the team with his initiative on the ball and the pressure, the intensity, and that personality, and I really like that.
And just in regards to Rotherham, I don't want to take you back to last season, but you mentioned the Swansea game and the Rico Henry red card, which was never a red card. A penalty in the penultimate game at Stoke that should have been given that never was, for a foul on Ethan Bennett, which I saw from 80 yards away, but the officials didn't seem to see from much closer. Rotherham in the last week have suffered from a couple of decisions which seem very harsh. I know VAR is not exactly popular in the Premier League, but with the importance of football at all levels, but certainly at this stage of the season, do we need a system whereby referees out on the pitch can get some sort of assistance at championship level?
I think first and foremost, we talk about the VAR. Maybe the version it is in now, maybe it's not the right version. I don't know. I haven't analyzed it enough. I just know there's too many situations or cases where we are discussing and thinking, oh, we're losing the soul of football and all that. But I think the situation referred to, I think the Barnsley goal against Rotherham last game is clearly not a goal. You know, maybe the ref in the situations see, there's a foul on the goalkeeper. Then he sees that the goalkeeper actually gets shot and he's lying on the ground for 5 minutes. Then he must think, maybe I got that one wrong, and then it's too late. So I definitely, these key incidents in the penalty boxes, I think is crucial. Then I think that handball rule is a rule that will, no matter how we do it, will always be an issue. And it's just because we discuss it more, because even 20 years ago it was still a problem. We just tend to forget. And then I think, you know, the millimeter of sight, I don't know how we we nail that. It's just because now we have VAR, we discuss it, and because we had the images and the pictures in the newspaper, you discuss it, and before you just used to stop, freeze, you look, he's onside, and we all know how difficult it is for a linesman when there's opposite movement in these situations. But I truly believe that in these big moment games, I don't know how you do it. Honestly, I said it last year, the playoff semi-finals and the final, then there need to be VAR. There's too much on stake to get the decisions wrong just by human error, which can happen. For example, the penalty we had against us against Cardiff, if that was in the playoff final, that would be a killer. It was a wrong penalty, and it's nothing against the ref. They don't want to take a wrong decision. We just need to get it right. So I don't know how it should be, but we need to optimize it, definitely.
And I wonder, thinking about tomorrow's game and the rest of the season, Saturday might have been one occasion where your 24-hour rule wasn't, maybe you didn't want that one to be implemented because you'd want that momentum and that excitement and enjoyment to carry through. And so on the training ground today, do you still feel that the 24-hour rule is being ignored for once, and that it has given the boys a bit of a lift?
I think you, no doubt about that. When we win, it just gives extra to the environment, and people are just little extra confident. You walk a little bit lighter. You smile more. But I think to try to explain you more, I think it's never getting too high or too low. But of course, we need to use that confidence and that momentum from that game 100% going forward.
I don't look too far backwards, too far ahead. We want to focus on tomorrow's game. But one thing we do now know is that there will be fans in the Brentford Community Stadium now. Maybe we would rather have not been there than we got through in the automatics, but at least more than the 4,000 who managed to get in 2 blocks earlier in the season will be able to enjoy our beautiful new stadium for a game.
Yeah,
we have one in Wembley.
Yeah. Well, we are looking forward to have them back in massively. Can't wait. Honestly, can't wait. So it's going to be huge.
Do you think it will make any difference? I mean, the director's box make a good old noise when they want to, but it's not going to be quite the same as the extra motivation you might get from however many thousand fans can get in.
No, of course. I think it helps massively. I was actually one who I can't remember if I think maybe it was Chris who said to me that Chris Wickham that one thing is with the fans. I think with some of our draws at home, maybe some of all the frustration also came from they couldn't be there to help. They could maybe have pushed us over the line just the final bit. So no, we are looking forward to hopefully celebrate with them, but be there together, play, run and fight together. I think that's the key thing we miss.
And the final one from me, maybe ending on a slightly flippant note, but I'm sure you give me a pass on it. Is there any chance you can have a word with Ivan to get that historic 30th goal tomorrow? Because we've been waiting, 6 games or so, no, slightly fewer than that, for that 30th goal. Do you think tomorrow could be the day where we get that next bit of Brentford history?
I hope so. I actually haven't talked with him about it, to be fair, but I'm pretty sure he's aware of it himself.